to my office?
I want to apply to be a literature professor at DK University. Due to my unique teaching aspects I would bring to this university.
Okay, well tell me a little about yourself.
I first arrived in the U.S. in the early 1500s, growing up in Massachusetts. I'm a very hardworking and strong-willed person, which will result in my dedication to this program. I want to work to incorporate religion when looking into literature due to the significance in my life.
Sounds interesting. So how do you plan on incorporating religion?
I plan to do this by having students read the Bible.
So, how do you plan to run your classroom?
I would like to work to establish a learning environment in which everyone gets an equal opportunity to achieve success, working to ensure women are not left out of decision making.
So, what do you plan to teach throughout the year?
I'm very interested in utilizing the texts of authors such as Jonathan Edwards, William Bradford, and Anne Bradstreet.
Okay, thank you so much for your interest in teaching here. We will get back to you and let you know if you got the job.
Thank you so much. Have a good day.
Postmodernism, we're ready for you?
Hi, it's so good to be here.
Hi, come sit down. So what brings you into my office?
I want to apply to be the literature professor at DK University due to my unique teaching aspects that I could bring.
Okay, well tell me a little about yourself.
I was born in the late 1900s where I grew up with my family. Growing up, I was very interested in arts and that's what made me want to become a teacher.
Interesting. Will this play a role in how you run the classroom?
Yes, I would love to incorporate art into my teaching and get my students involved about learning about cultural movements.
So, what elements would you want your students to focus on?
I want my students to study more irony, absurdity, and Black humor. I also want them to study emotionally distant authors who treat serious subjects as jokes.
Perfect. How will you teach these studies within your class?
I will have my students question the intellectual assumptions and values of the modern period in history by reading novels written by Tobias Wolff and Paul Auster, both who display these qualities within their writing.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for coming in today. We'll get back to you as soon as possible.
Thank you so much. Romanticism, we're ready for you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today.
Hi, come sit down. So what brings you into my office?
Well, I want to apply to be a literature professor at DK University due to the unique teaching aspects I would personally bring.
Okay, well tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, see, I was born in the late 1700s and grew up around the time of the Revolutionary War. I tend to have an imaginative and spontaneous mindset, and I'd like to apply this while teaching. I'm also very optimistic, so I will work to help encourage students to achieve their best.
So what brings you here today?
Well, I would like to become a teacher, and I'd like to convey my fascination for works that reflect deep emotion and focus on nature and the aspects around it.
What do you want to teach?
I would like to explore novels that focus on the universe as mysterious and irrational. This is mainly displayed by the authors Washington Irving, Edgar Allan Poe, and William Cullen Bryant. I aspire to have my students be imaginative through their works and focus on spirituality.
Okay, thank you so much for your interest. We will get back to you and let you know if you got the job.
Okay, thank you so much. Have a great day.
Realism, we're ready for you.
Thank you so much for having me here.
Hello, come sit down. What brings you to my office?
I just want to apply to the literature professor opportunity at DK University due to the unique teaching aspects I would bring.
Okay, well tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I first arrived here after the Civil War in the 1960s, and I'd like to work with reason and facts to help me guide my way of thinking.
So, what do you plan to focus on throughout your curriculum?
I would like my students to focus on individuals and emotion throughout their writing. I would also like to teach them to utilize an objective to guide their thinking throughout life.
Interesting. What do you plan on teaching next year?
I want to teach my students to think with facts rather than reason. I will do this through showcasing the work of Henry James, Mark Twain, Edith Wharton, and Ambrose Bierce in my classroom.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for your interest in teaching here. We will get back to you and let you know if you got the job.
Okay, thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you. Modernism, we're ready for you?
Hi, it's so good to be here.
Hello, come sit what brings you into my office?
I want to apply for the literature professor at DK University due to my unique teaching aspects I would bring to the university.
Okay, well tell me a little about yourself.
I was born in the middle of World War I in 1915. I grew up in a family that came from a lot of poverty, so I learned to fight for my rights when I was mistreated.
I'm sorry to hear that. How did this affect you?
It caused me to not want to restrict myself to only working from home, which has led me here to apply here to become a professor.
So, what do you want to teach in your classroom?
I primarily want to teach students not to judge a book by its cover and to be open to and change, employing a stream of consciousness. I will display this in the works of Arthur Miller, John Steinbeck, F. Scott Fitzgerald, and Ernest Hemingway.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much for coming in today. We'll get back to you at a further date.
Thank you so much. Have a good rest of your day. Transcendentalism, we're ready for you.
Hi, thank you so much for having me here today.
Hello, come sit down. So what brings you into my office?
Well, I wanted to come to apply to the literature professor at DK University due to the unique teaching aspects I would bring to this university.
Perfect. So tell me about yourself.
Well, I was born in the mid-1800s in Massachusetts, and I was strongly impacted by the European and Eastern ideals. I'd like to incorporate the ideals of self-reliance into my classroom. With this, I would like to explore the divine plan given to us throughout literature.
What specifically do you want to teach?
I want to teach my students to use logical thinking and help them be able to think about why you feel something and be able to understand why as well. I would rather not focus on reading novels, but I want to encourage the reading and writing of essays based upon fictional stories. I want to ensure that students work hard on everything they do and not to just go along with everything, but to question authority.
How do you plan on teaching this throughout your class?
Well, I want to focus on the works of Ralph Waldo Emerson, Henry David Thoreau, Margaret Fuller, and Walt Whitman because they all display these ideals in their work.
Perfect. Thank you so much for coming in today. We will take this all into consideration when deciding if you get the job.
Okay, thank you so much for your time.